Of all the leadership development that we offer at Blue Beetle, the top program above all, and this hasn't really changed in years, is difficult conversations, which I have to say I find both fascinating and I suppose a little bit depressing. I remember when I very first started working in the leadership space, and back then a big request was for assertiveness training. This is going back to the late 90s. But I remember as the 2000s clicked round and we were doing more and more programs and more what you might call leadership, all those kind of things that you expect when people get promoted, when they move into supervision or move into management. And the one topic that kept bubbling up in those days was difficult conversations. Now we fast forward to today, 25 years later, it's still one of the number one programs we sell. And part of the problem that people have with difficult conversations is that name, isn't it? Difficult conversations. The very fact that they're difficult, it's not really the sort of thing that you want to go on. What's also, I think, interesting is over the years, it's had its name changed and tweaked a few times. So maybe 10 years ago, clients started saying, would it be okay if we called it courageous conversations? Because we think that's a bit more positive. And then, of course, clients can have what they want, but we always in the program, although we dutifully called it courageous conversations, we rebadged everything courageous conversations, people on the program would still say, oh, it's really good we're learning about difficult conversations. And more recently, people started talking about managing people. So then, of course, the conversation would always happen, well, managing people in what way? And within seconds, they'd be, oh, like difficult conversations then. And I think there's an interesting point here, which is that if you are a supervisor, if you're a manager, if you have any responsibility for a team or a business or department, you have to have conversations with people. So really what we're doing is conversations training, but that doesn't really give the impression of what we're discussing, which is that awkwardness, that uncomfortable nature. And when you have to say to somebody, that thing you're doing is not acceptable, or you need to be here on time, or you need to stop being so sick, or you need to get into the conversation that you don't really want to get into. And when I talk to delegates about it, there's always the same range of reasons why people won't have these conversations. So the first is, and I think it comes from a good place, people are worried about being offensive. They're worried about saying the wrong thing. They're worried about upsetting somebody. They're worried about embarrassing them. They're also worried about all of those same things on themselves. So they get caught up about, what if I ask what the problem is, the person tells me and I don't know where to look? What if it gets upsetting? What if there's an emotional response? What if they cry? What if they get angry? What if they get sarcastic? And so I find that, and this is from working with literally thousands of learners over many different programs in 25 different countries now, I find that people tend to do anything they can to avoid having a conversation. So the first thing they'll do is kind of hope it was a one-off, maybe hope that person's going through a bit of a bad time, but that maybe the bad time won't continue happening at work. Maybe it's a short stay personal thing and maybe it'll somehow fix itself. That's the sort of the first thing that nearly always happens. The second thing, either because the behavior continues or the problem doesn't improve, or because their manager makes them do something, is they start to make slightly jokey comments, or they start to ask questions in the hope that the other person will fess up. So classically, you've seen it when people arrive late to a meeting and the manager looks at their watch, then looks pointedly around at everyone else, and then looks at the latecomer. They might throw in something like, oh, good of you to join us. Good afternoon. Oh, seat down here at the front for you. Don't want you to miss anything. And the problem with all of these is that not only are they not effective, ultimately you're going to have to say the thing, but also they could be construed as sniping, bullying, harassing somebody. If every time they walk in, you make some little comment about their timekeeping, whilst they need to sort their timekeeping out, this is not an excuse for anyone, it would be reasonable to expect you as the person in authority, if you're not comfortable with their timekeeping, to say at some point, I need you to sort this out, please. I need you to fix this. Because otherwise, all they're going to say when it goes to some sort of grievance or some kind of tribunal, they're going to say, you never asked them. You just made sarky comments. It's much the same as when people ask questions. So how do you think you're getting on with everything? Yeah, great. Oh, great. Yes, I do. I think I'm fitting in really well. Now, the thing is, they're not, or you feel they're not, or you want to say something about this. But if you just ask them questions in the hope they're going to give you the answer you need, and they're going to have an epiphany, they're going to have the light shining from above, and thank heavens you were there to solve this for them. That doesn't happen very often. In fact, either they know what you're doing and they're not going to play ball, or they literally have no clue what you're talking about. So you can bang on endlessly about, oh, it's good, to have a team, isn't it? As long as we all contribute. And they're going, yeah, absolutely is. So stage one, managers, supervisors tend to ignore it, tend to leave it. That doesn't work. Stage two, they make the sarcastic comments. They ask the questions in the hope the other person will have that breakthrough and say something. Again, doesn't work. So what's stage three? Well, stage three is either because they get forced to do something, it all goes wrong, there's a big blow up, then they go and ask HR to do it for them. And none of these are very good techniques. See, at some point, if you're a manager, if you're a supervisor, you have to sit down with the person and go, let's talk about this. And you have to rip off the band-aid. You have to go, here's the problem behavior, or here's the thing you're not doing, here's the thing you're doing, here's the KPI we need to talk about, here's what I've noticed, whatever the topic is. And having done that, you then need to listen to them. And you need to make adjustments to your belief because you might be wrong. But likewise, what you're saying could be entirely reasonable, in which case they might need to make some changes. And your role at this point is simply having got them to say, yes, that is right, or no, it's not right, or here's where I am, and you've given your side of things. Put very simply, you need to tell them the change that you would like. And there is little to no value in hinting at what happens if they don't solve this. So we've all seen those supervisors who say things like, right, if you don't sort this out, I'll have to take it further. That is the equivalent of when you were a child and your mother said, just you wait till your father gets home. That is the equivalent of when you're out with your partner and you've had a lovely evening and you're on your way home and your partner goes silent. And you go, everything right? And they go, yeah. You go, you've gone really quiet. Yeah, no, fine. And because you know your partner, you know your relationship, there's a problem. But for whatever reason, your partner's not going to tell you now. So you've got the rest of the journey in silence. You might have some sulking when you get home. You might have an argument tonight, tomorrow, whatever it's going to be. It's rubbish. It's a terrible way to go through life. Imagine that at work. So if you do the whole, well, if you don't fix this, I'll have to take it further. They would be right within their rights to go, what do you mean take it further? What's the scope here? What are you going to do if I don't do this thing you've just asked me to do? And so we need to get ahead of that. So we've had the conversation. Maybe it was embarrassing. Maybe it was awkward. Maybe it was difficult. Maybe somebody cried. Maybe you cried. Maybe they, whatever. Having done all of that, you've then got to say, right, so we've discussed this. These are the next steps, and you need to be specific. This is when I need you to do this. Give them a timeline. Give them a check-in. Make sure they're clear about it. Offer them your support. This is what we're doing to fix this. And if we do that, great. If we can't do that, we will be over here. And this is the next steps. And the next steps are not, I'll have to take it further. I'll have to go over your head. It's rubbish. That's the language of people who don't really want this conversation. And I get why you don't, but let's try and do better. So it's not, I'll have to go over your head. It's not, I'll have to take it further. It's, if we can't do this, then these will be the next steps. Effectively, this is what's going to happen to you next, or this is the next step that I will trigger, and this will be the timeline of that. Now, this is a much more open, transparent, honest, and authentic and adult way to deal with people. And a lot of us don't get into all this because partly we're not too sure of those processes. So let's find out before we go. It's worth talking to HR, but we're not getting HR to do it for us. What we're doing is we're saying to HR, I want to keep this colleague. They're doing these things wrong. I want to say this to them. I want this to be the next process. How does that sound? And HR can go, yeah, that's fine. What we shouldn't be doing is going, HR, I've got this problem with this person. Can you deal with it? No. HR should be saying, no, you're the manager, you're the supervisor, that is your job. I will help you to do the thing you want to do, but you've got to do the thing. So we agree that, we lay it out, we're all very honest and open and transparent and authentic about it. All of this is in sharp contrast to what I said right at the start of this little video, which is the constant ignoring the problem, hoping the problem goes away, making the sarcastic comments or asking the questions in the hope that they say something and have the realization, and then asking HR to do it for you. We need to take authority for this. We need to take responsibility for this. And by the way, last thing before I bring this video to a close, if you don't do this, if you work around people, and most of us in our lives have at least one person we have to work around. Now, in our family, that's just life, right? If they're people we have chosen to live with, if they are people that are in our lives because they're friends and they're great, except this one aspect of their lives, that's how it is, right? That's the nature of humans. That's the nature of being social. But at work, if you allow somebody to consistently do a thing they shouldn't do, whether that's timekeeping or absence or behavior or quality of work or KPIs, if you allow them to do that and you don't tackle it because you are concerned about the emotional reaction, the problem you will have is it undercuts your own authority, because other people see you handle that person differently from them. And nobody likes that. If there's one thing that gets people's backs up at work, it's a perception of unfairness. It's a feeling that you are nicer to this person than this person because you know how they behave. You know how that rankles you. It irritates you if one person gets one treatment and somebody gets something else. So you've got to not fall in that trap. What you need to do instead is to understand that when you have this conversation, there might be tears and tantrums. Those things might happen. But if you don't do them, the damage to you, your team, your business, your department is considerably worse. It's very corrosive over a long time. So that is all I'm going to share with you on this session today. If you have enjoyed this, please please comment, please ask for more. Tell me what else you want to know about this particular topic, or indeed anything else in this leadership space. I'll be delighted to work with you. See you next time.